Let me just get that invite off to Bobby, and then we'll get the show on the road. All right. Sent. A follow-up text can never hurt anybody. All right. Hope everybody had a very, very nice long weekend. Nice little slate today. Big old baseball slate as usual, and possibly one of the last NBA full slates. We'll see. Full slates being 3 games. I'm really enjoying this, and we talked about this as we led into the playoffs. Both Bobby and I do enjoy like the 3-4 game slates where you know who's playing and you know that you're going to get full go out of the guys who are ready to play. And yeah, I'm psyched for basketball and baseball tonight. Bobby, what's going on?
What's up, man? Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's a good. I like that we don't have to worry about weather, and I feel pretty ready with what I'm going to do with baseball. And it's not changed a whole lot since earlier, but we can go through it and then talk a little NBA.
I guess my main change off of the early recording is that I'm off of NOLA. I think that's kind of where that's the real update, I guess, is that I'm really not so much on NOLA, and I'm really just blasting in on those Matt Boyd, Robbie Ray, Glasnow, that threesome. And that's I guess the only real. But we'll go through it all. And what's cool is I actually did pretty much all of my all my lineups. I think for baseball at least are in set. And so at like 6:30 we could like work on building the
NBA. Absolutely,
building the NBA, and I could tell you guys my exposure in baseball, unless somebody gets scratched or something. Unless I notice right now that, please know that someone's out that I expected to have a lot of. No, let me. I'm not going to pull that over there. Let's put this over here, and I got my chat up over here. Okay. Okay.
So do you want to talk pitching and stacks, pitching first and then stacks?
Yeah. So again, what I'm saying, what I like is not exactly what I'm playing, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I guess I am in this particular case. So my top pitchers on DraftKings we're talking about are Robbie Ray, Matt Boyd, and Tyler Glasnow. I have about 50% Robbie Ray, almost 50% Glasnow, about 30% Matt Boyd, and the rest I have a little bit of Heaney and a little bit of Lauer, and I just didn't get to the others on DraftKings. Did I get one, Alex Wood? No, I didn't. That's where I'm at with pitching. Where are you at with pitching?
Mostly Glasnow, my highest owned. Robbie Ray, I have like 30%. I've got it spread out a little bit more today because I think that there are a lot of different possibilities. I have like 20% of Bassett, 20% of Sonny Gray, 20% of Alex Wood. The guy who I'm just mostly heavy on Glasnow, and then I have 20% of Herman Marquis.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting on to see how strong you were still going to be on Marquis.
To be honest, I'm a little worried about not having enough of him.
Okay.
I'm a little worried that this might be one of those times where I have a good feel for something, and I end up sort of not chickening out, but spreading out a little bit too much. So that's my one concern about my not having more of him, I guess. And I think I will probably try and get a little bit more as I go through my lineups here. While we do this, but yeah, I just think there's enough merit for guys like Sonny Gray, Alex Wood. I'm less on Lauer, but I get it. I have like 1 or 2 lineups with Lauer in it, I guess. And Heaney, I've got like 15% of. So those are most of the guys I'm using. It's a little spread out. I even have a couple Brady Singers in there, 5%. I mean, just like nothing's huge on those guys. mostly my stronger take is Glass now. I don't think we need to get so far off the board with pitching, and I find it also. I mean, Marquis is obviously off the board, but most of my guys, I just find that I see the path for a lot of these guys against some really, really weak offenses, and I want to capitalize on that.
Yeah. What are you doing with that? How many are you playing in the 111?
Playing 10.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And
I was getting nervous. I thought you were going to tell me you're going to do like 100 or something, or like
5 in the 222 until they tell me that if we can ever get back on FanDuel. Can't get on FanDuel right now. And
really?
A lot of people having that problem.
Oh, that sucks.
Yes, that's unfortunate. So hopefully that can get straightened out.
Well, let me tell you where I am with the stacks on DraftKings. My first of all, I will tell you that I have you're becoming proud of me, man. I have very few 5-men tonight. I have, of my stacks, like 11% are 5-man, 15% are 4 threes. I got like 25% of them are like 3 twos.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I just do. My teams I'm using, I am using a decent amount of KC. I have like 66% Salvador Perez, like, for example. And on DraftKings, I mean, KC's my highest owned. And again, like, there's not a lot of 5-men. So of the 5-man stacks, the only 5-man stack I have is Texas. The rest are just whatever. I have KC 4-man. I actually have a Washington 4-man. And the rest is just kind of all over the place. I got some Houston. I got a Cubs somehow on DraftKings. And then I got a bunch of 2-mans and just trying to Bobby jam to win it up, sort of.
I'm sort of mixing it up a little bit today, and I actually I like a Colorado 5-man stack a lot. Okay. And I actually think they because of the pricing on FanDuel, they're going to be under-owned on DraftKings. So I'm trying to take advantage of that. And sorry, I'm just trying to find one Fuentes here.
Yeah, if we go over like how I rank them, like if you factor in value in all of it, I like Texas and Minnesota and Kansas City. But the thing is that on my hand build one, wherever there was one guy I didn't mention, those were the MME builds that I described. My bigger lineup, okay, which I hand built, I am totally doing what I said I was going to do, and I am just pounding away on the late night hammer of the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I'm paying down at the pitching and just LFG. That's what I'm doing. And when I said I was going to force it in, it's because I'm telling you, like, I think these guys are not going to be popular because, like, you run optimizers, you don't get that much of it. I don't know why. It's not like they're expensive, really.
Who are you talking about?
The Dodgers.
Oh, the Dodgers. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, totally with you on that. Really, it's funny because it's Dodgers, like, because it's not the best hitting conditions, and it's not, it's Dodger Stadium still, and it's kind of cooler tonight in LA. I'm finding more 4-man stacks, but I do I literally like everybody in the lineup, so I don't mind if you want to stack all 5 because priority play would be Muncy and Betts. Bellinger maybe just beneath him because he's just coming back, but I really like the Dodgers as well. The Dodgers are my highest owned stack on both sites.
Nice.
Colorado and the Dodgers are close on DraftKings, and then Minnesota. I'm trying to hopefully get the right side of the Minnesota. I am fully stacking them, but mostly I'm trying to use them just because they're going to be the chalk to get a little different by playing 2 and 3-men stacks, and then in my full stacks, including Kirilloff, things like that in the lefty spot. You can fiddle around with it because of the same position eligibility between Sano, Donaldson, and get a bunch of different ways like that. So mostly using them as a mini stack, but they are my next favorite. I just don't want to play the mega chalk when I like these other stacks just as much, and they're not going to, or almost as much, and they're not going to be nearly as high up.
Yeah. Now why don't we transition to FanDuel a little bit? What are you doing on FanDuel? I'll go first. So pitching for me on FanDuel, I have about 50% Robbie Ray, I have about 18%.
If you refresh your FanDuel page, can you see your lineups?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I'm afraid to refresh it now.
Maybe it's working. Maybe it's working now because I have guys who aren't in the lineup even, and I can't get them out. There we go. I've talked to the VIP people already about it, and they said they know it's a problem. They're trying to fix it.
So I have 50% Robbie Ray. I have 18% Glass now. I have a 25% what you call Sonny Gray over there. And is that all my pitching? Yeah, I think that's all my pitching because I am paying up for all this stuff. Minnesota, LA, Dodgers. I'm getting a couple of Torontos in there, some Houstons, and who's the, and I like this too, man. I like this Alonso Lindor thing for the Mets. So I'm doing that also, and again, very not getting too fancy over on FanDuel with respect to the hitting. I'm playing the best hitters. And I'm not playing, I'm not playing that much of Glass now and Nola over there.
Yeah, I always like to play the best hitters. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I by the way, we should know. I just noting Rob Refsnyder was a scratch for Minnesota, and Astudillo's in the lineup. May not matter for everybody, but I did have some Refsnyder in a part of like my 5-man stacks to try and get a little bit.
I got one lineup. I have one line. Thank you for pointing out. I got one lineup on DraftKings with him as a one-off.
Oh, interesting.
So I got to replace him with another 2,300 ideally. Oh, there's a zillion of them. Okay.
And I'm just trying to replace these guys now that we've got them on FanDuel. But I think FanDuel, look, everything is going to make you try and play Coors on FanDuel, which should keep it a little bit lower owned on DraftKings, in my opinion. I don't think I don't know. I have no reason to be afraid to just completely avoid it more. So I have way less of Coors on FanDuel, with the exception of my highest owned player on FanDuel from Coors will be Adolis Garcia, because his price will make it at least difficult to get to him at 4,300.
Right.
So that's the way sort of I'm going about that. And Texas. I mean, and they're fine to fill in, but I just don't think they're going to be so popular on a slate that doesn't need to have anybody that popular. And yeah, they're really cheap. It makes sense, but there's just plenty of other ways you can build your lineups.
Yeah, the pitching on FanDuel, I'm really, I should be, according to my numbers, I should be spread out more, but it's mostly Gray and Robbie Ray. I'm not getting the Heaney just because I just don't need it. But maybe even on, I just don't need to get to him. I'd rather just play Glass.
Yeah, I'm only using 3 pitchers on FanDuel: Ray, Nola, and Glass now.
Oh, okay. You're not using any Sonny Gray on FanDuel.
On FanDuel. No, I have. I'm sorry. I should take that back. I do have Sonny Gray.
Okay. On
FanDuel, I have him like 20%.
Oh, there you go. That's a decent amount.
I literally couldn't see my lineups until the show. I knew I liked him.
Damn, FanDuel.
I just forgot the amount, the price, off the top of my head, because I couldn't see the screen, obviously. So that was the issue. But yeah, go ahead, Chiefs.
I was gonna say we could take a look at some questions if there are any here.
Yeah, I'll take a look. Guys, drop in any questions. Please remember to like and subscribe and all that. We're adding stuff to the site. If you haven't checked out any of Pierce's stuff, it's pretty awesome. A lot of cool things going on.
Pierce, guys. Pierce is a freaking animal. I mean, I like to think that I work hard. You know what I mean? But this guy is the freaking hardest working man in show business. And all he wants to do is do everything. He's already the best in NASCAR, and he's like putting up. Oh, I just feel like I'll just put up some hour and a half baseball video just because I'm in the mood. You know what I mean? So he's pretty awesome. So he's a sharp dude, and glad to have him on board.
Definitely, yeah, great to have him. The truth is that the pricing is so soft on FanDuel. I just realized that was the reason why I was contemplating even getting rid of my Robbie Ray. Actually, my Sonny Gray. The problem thing is, though, he has the kind of he's a solid bet for 6 innings. The problem is he doesn't throw more than 90 plus pitch, 90-ish pitches most of the time. So I don't want to have him in my big buy-in stuff over there.
Okay, makes sense.
And I got to edit these ones out because these guys are not in the lineup. Anything you noticed?
So it's so funny the way you phrase these things. I love when people do that. For SP2, does Wood interest you versus a watered down Angels lineup? You know what I mean? Like it's like I know where it's called.
Yeah, but that's a good question.
In the legal term, like a leading question. You're telling us why you should be agreed with before we. You know what I mean? Like,
but he's right.
But the point is well taken. Okay. That. But is it more watered down than it has been the last couple of days? You know what I mean? Like. Is anybody else out, or is it just the normal, like no Trout?
Their lineup is pretty weak. It's been terrible. Right. They've been one of the worst offenses in baseball. So that's sort of the thinking behind it, I think.
But I do like Wood a little bit, but he's just not as good as just some of the other guys. That's the best I can describe it.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do that, I'm in 9,900 on is that 9,900 on? Oh, that's FanDuel, right? Definitely wouldn't do him over there. On DraftKings, but you were saying, yeah, I think at 8,700, I would just rather. I mean, I would about to say I'd rather play Robbie Ray, but if you're talking about a pivot off of Robbie Ray, I think that's not the worst idea in the world.
Yeah.
Bellinger not in lineup today.
Okay, well that's going to change. The Dodgers lineup is going to be a big deal.
Well, this is why, I had to curse it by saying, oh, dude, everything was good, man. I'm set with my freaking DraftKings lineups.
No McKinstry either. Okay, so I'm going to go to – so we're going to have to make some edits here. I'll take a quick look at chat questions first. Guys, yeah, it's working now, K9 Bronco. We got FanDuel back in business, so that's great. Favorite SP2 on DK does – oh, you already said that one. Yeah, we both like Wood. I'm sorry, you don't like Wood as much. I like Wood I have him at 20%. I don't think you need to do it, but he's been really good. Give me 1 second. Sorry, just got to grab the store.
Well, you know what I could do for now? I could just direct swap on DraftKings Bellinger for Nelson Cruz. That's fine.
So it's Pujols and Beatty in the lineup instead. Beatty, whatever.
Instead of who?
And well, we don't have Bellinger and we don't have McKinstry.
Okay.
Yeah. So. My favorite non-core stack. One stack I didn't mention that I like that Sheets mentioned earlier that I've come on to a little bit more is I kind of like the Royals. So I do have them a little bit. The non-cores on FanDuel is Dodgers for me. I have some Houston, and I have some Dodgers, Houston, Minnesota, and most of and KC, and then mostly it's cores after that for me. So we are going to have to get Bellinger out of everything. And I didn't actually see the actual order of the Dodgers lineup, so let's see what it is. I'm sure everybody in chat knows already, so it's not the most fun for while I look it up, but I kind of need to know for my lineups as well. One interesting thing just to note, just like general slate thoughts, I think second base is really strong today, especially on FanDuel. I find myself using second base. I really love Altuve, Merrifield, and Muncy. Those three guys are all stand out to me as excellent plays. So I'm playing a lot of those two of those three together. Obviously, outfield is loaded as always, but yeah. So Taylor's in sixth, and then you got Lux fifth. I think Lux is my highest owned player on FanDuel, non-pitcher on DraftKings. And I actually had to go consciously to try and get him out as some of my lineups because it was like getting to be where he was going to be 50% owned. And I didn't like shortstop enough to have anybody 50% owned. But then at the same time, I was like, he is my favorite. I'm sort of struggling with it. I think I'm going to end up with about 40% of them though on DraftKings. But just keep my shortstop sucks, better on FanDuel, but still sucks. And second base is loaded.
Yeah, let me just finish swapping out my Bellinger. It's kind of cool that on DraftKings, you could just immediately put Nelson Cruz in.
for Bellinger, absolutely. And by the way, I have a lot of those stacks combined, so I was just looking at that, and I could actually probably max swap and not really lose my stack. My stack,
right?
Be my stack together. I still am having a hard time believing that no one was going to play. I understand the pricing, but it's just so crazy to me, that Colorado will be unowned in this spot, and then you have Texas who will be owned against a much better pitcher. And I'll take my shots with some of these Colorado bats, these cheap Colorado bats. They're actually really cheap on FanDuel as well. I'm sorry, on DraftKings as well. but they're just so much more stands out on FanDuel that I think that's where they get played.
I right now have 82% Nelson Cruz on FanDuel.
82% Nelson Cruz. That's a lot. A lot for a hitter.
It's a lot for a baseball player.
It's funny because in other sport, people say, "How you don't? What's wrong with playing 50%? Why don't lock somebody? All this stuff." I'm like, if you play a bunch of lineups, you're playing like almost 100 lineups or near that, and you're locking hitters in.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just on 15 game slates or whatever, massive.
You're asking for it.
Yeah, what are you hoping for exactly? Like the guy, and especially a chalky guy. He goes off, and then everybody else has him too. It just doesn't. It doesn't work for my brain. But I really think that you've got so many different choices and ways you can go. Some interesting one, like Garlic. There's interestingly, like a lot of these great plays on DraftKings are sort of priced the same, like Garlic, Benintendi. I love Upton, even though it's in San Francisco tonight. All of those guys are the exact same price, for example, basically. And then you've got, just beneath them, I like Polanco, and then you've got the value for Olivares you could use in your KC stacks. There's just a lot you can pay down with, but Nelson Cruz's price is pretty ridiculous. So I don't actually mind with a guy like him. Like he should be the guy I'm playing 50% of. You know what I mean?
Right.
If there is a guy that would be just the price, it's just such a bad misprice on him that I think you want to try and take advantage. The problem is everybody's going to.
Right.
So just keep that in mind, especially now with Bellinger out. Not that he was going to – it's probably 9% he was going to be owned, let's say Bellinger was, maybe 10. And now, 80% of that? So that 8% of that will probably switch over to Cruz. Just the way people are going to do it, I think. Look at Carlos Santana is a really streaky player hitting wise, and he's been on fire, by the way. On fire. He's been really good over the past month in terms of hard contact and power. So I really, really like him. I'm just making sure I don't have more guys. I do have a lot of guys out. Jeez.
I am just so you guys know, I am getting a little Nelson Cruz out just for diversification purposes.
Yeah, just to spread out a little bit. Why not? I mean, especially guys cheats today. Another reason why it's a terrible mistake for expensive hitters, and he's underpriced, he's still expensive. But guys like he and Muncy, who are both going to have ownership and deservedly so in two of my favorite plays. But the problem is, like, these guys walk a ton, and they have a good day at the plate, go 2 for 3 with 2 or 3 walks, a double and a single, and that's not nearly enough to try and win a tournament with. And that just happens so much more often than not. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's the most likely outcome for them having a good game. Is not necessarily them hitting 2 home runs. You know what I mean? There's a lot of other guys you can pivot to. McMahon and some of the prices on these guys it's just the pricing on FanDuel is just hilarious. It's just they really want you to play the Coors game. Just stick with the Garcia guys. Garcia is my favorite actual play on the slate. I actually think he might end up being higher owned than me for Lux on DraftKings by the time it's done. He's another guy you could go just crazy heavy on.
Which guy?
Adolis Garcia. Just the best player in baseball, and no one talks about him.
He only has 16 home runs on June 1st.
I know. It's crazy. How about that? He had a month of baseball. And what's crazy is he adds the stolen base upside also. He's got – what has he got? I think he has like 8 or 9 stolen bases last month or whatever. Like, so you get basically almost every game he's hitting a home run or stealing the base. I'll take it. Maybe both. And just I'm looking at for chalky plays that you can pivot around. Benintendi's 2,600. He's going to be chalky and 3K on FanDuel on DraftKings. You can play Kike Hernandez at 2,600 on FanDuel as a pivot. I mentioned the other 3Ks. Justin Upton will be the lowest owned. And so Garlic won't be, but I like the idea. I like all 3 of those guys, and you can use whichever ones you see fit. I also really like Francisco Lindor. I like your guy. I really like the Alonso one-off. I think it's a really solid play. And I just don't. The only thing I'm saying is just like don't just do it because it's a lefty thing. You're going to probably get 2 at bats against Caleb Smith and probably 3, hopefully 2 to 3 versus the bullpen. But it is going to be nice hitting weather. The roof should be open, and all that. And the team I'm most afraid, and it's not that they're in a great spot at all, because I really think what's his name is good, Alcantara. But every day I find myself, the team I'm most afraid of not having enough of is always the same team, and that's Toronto.
Yep.
Especially when they're in that stadium, and they have so much upside on top of, like, they can do it. They're going to score runs. They're going to hit home runs. They're also they have guys who hit into double plays. They have got, but they're going to run in general. So I always want to try and have some of them. So I'm using a lot of weird one-offs, a lot of Bichette on FanDuel, because I think that he stands out as a shortstop. I do prefer Tatis if the weather was good in Chicago, but it's just not good hitting weather, so I'm avoiding it. I also don't think it's a bad idea to play a guy like Aaron Judge in a matchup like this. Play some of these Yankees against, especially Judge, against a guy like Glasnow, because Glasnow will go after them. The Yankees are patient. He's going to not have a choice to not be allowed to be wild. So he's going to have to attack more, which is fine. I think he'll actually be pretty dominant in doing so, but I do expect a home run or 2 possibly coming off of him tonight. I still think 10 Ks is a very, I think he's going to have, I'm going to make a bet that he has double-digit strikeouts tonight.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So I'm sort of talking in circles about a bunch of different thoughts I had on the slate, but any questions? For Colorado, priorities on DK. Oddly enough, so my priority is going to be their best hitter right now, and that's Ryan McMahon. He's the one I feel the most uncomfortable to leave out. Blackman is the one I feel more comfortable leaving out, and Tapia's price is expensive for a guy with that much power. Fuentes you can use as a third baseman. These are not individually great plays. This is a stack when no one's going to stack them. Brendan Rodgers at shortstop, in a weak position at shortstop, he fills in the stack nicely. I actually think, oddly enough, Nunez as a catcher at 4,800 even is in play at batting 8th. I think that you have got Garver right there. You've got Will Smith right there. But I have no problem just jumping over to Nunez. I think he's a really strong play as well. And let's see, do we have another one here? And I'm gonna, Sano probably hits 2 home runs tonight or something. But he's the guy I have probably the least of, other than Polanco, on the Minnesota team. I love Sano in general, though. So I'm just saying I prefer it against righties. The team obviously does too. I don't understand why every tout out there says all this stuff about him, because he had that one great year against lefties a while ago. The problem is, you don't think it's a coincidence that he bats 4th against a righty or 5th, and then he's batting 7th against the lefty? Obviously, the team doesn't trust him as much against lefties. So, maybe everyone else owning him batting 7th is a little bit of a mistake. He and Blackman would be the guys I'd lean to fading the most in that game. I'm sorry, in those games of stacks that I like.
McMahon is
Duvall's in the lineup and might be caught off guard. Adam Duvall, I think, is a terrific one-off. Another guy who just no one's going to think of, but literally profiles as the perfect guy against Robbie Ray. He's probably going to strike out once or twice, but he's got a great chance at hitting a home run or 2. So I really like him.
Which guy are you talking about?
I just lost my train of thought here because I was trying to make a switch. Duvall, Adam Duvall, in non-Robbie Ray lineups. Let's see if I play Garlic here. I even have one. I'm adding one Brady Singer lineup just because of how bad Pittsburgh is. The problem is they may not strike out. You could see a complete game here from him in 100. That's the Pittsburgh this year. I bet you somebody throws a complete game against them with less than 90 pitches.
Why do you say that?
Because they chase early in the count and they don't walk. They're not patient. You can get to them, and especially the only thing is it'd be nicer for Brady Singer, for a guy like that, if this game was in Pittsburgh, obviously, because you want that advantage of, Brady Singer. Yeah, he's facing a National League team, but this National League team gets a boost by getting to play in the American League, because now they can have their DH. So just throwing out some food for thought here.
We'll transition to the NBA in just a minute.
Yeah. I'll see if there's anything else in just a second, guys.
Richard Bridges. All right, this makes sense. Oh, I don't want that.
Yeah, you asked me the question. I'll just touch on this real quick about, and I get fresh questions from people all the time about how should I manage my bankroll if I'm playing tournaments and this and that and all that stuff. So like, if I'm going to play 10 lineups and risk $1,100, let's say on DraftKings, I want to, and you have the small, the 203 max. If I'm going to play 1,100 on the other stuff, I'm going to play all three in the 203 max. So I want to have like you, and then again, and then I have two, the 121 and single entry, all the 40 single entries, the 23 maxes, and all that stuff. I want that number to be greater than my long shot tournament number. It's different when you get to the 555s because you're only talking about beating a couple hundred people sometimes, but on the smaller slates, let's say. But when you're playing with thousands of people, you don't want that to be your primary distribution. I know to a lot of you this is obvious. To a lot of people, it's not. So I want to just touch on it as often as I can. Does that make sense, Sheets?
Could you do me a favor? Could you just say that one more time?
Yeah, I think you want to try to allocate more money to single entries and three maxes when you're playing, especially when you're multi-entering on these like 1,000-person $100 tournaments. You want to try to put at least that amount of money into the single entries and three maxes. So I'll play all three 200s. I'll play the 100 single entries.
You're touching on a question that was it Adam? Who's here most of the time? Yeah, Adam. I think Adam asked me about. We were talking about this over the weekend when he asked me like, how do you determine, how much to put on each type of tournament, how to allocate your money in each slate, and I mentioned that. You asked me what's right and what I do because I know that I have not put in the work yet to figure out the optimal way to distribute money around contests. I know that I won't say optimal way, but there's a more intelligent way than I do it because I just like I said, I mean, what I'll do is I'll do it based on builds. Like if I like 3 different builds, like what I'll do is I'll probably, like you said, I'll put my favorite one in the biggest one. Then I'll do 3 of them, like 3 builds in the 3 max set and 3 entries, and then I'll just kind of like deviate off of those 3 different builds, whatever.
Right.
I'm sure that is kind of a mathematical leap to put the same tournament in a 300,000 person field as I'm putting in a single entry field.
Right.
I think most of it's psychological. Like you don't want it to hit your single entry and win that for 4,000, and you don't have it in the one that pays 100,000. I think.
Right. But the other thing is though that also like so one other multi-entry trick again I'm going to talk about just like I think it's important to touch on. Not trick. So if you're playing like let's say you're playing a bunch of lineups, you're whittling them down on DraftKings. Okay. Mix and match your pitchers with when you whittle down a lineup and whether you're trying to keep improve it or whatever, try to get that lineup. Make sure you don't have it all like all of your Colorado stacks are with Glasnow and whatever. Have some of them if you're going to be playing 20% of the other guys. Make sure you're dividing it up to where not all 40% of my Glasnows are Minnesota, Dodgers, and Colorado. I want to get some KC in there too. So I'll take my pitchers and shift and then basically leave the lineups very similar, maybe make a 1 or 2 person adjustment when I'm whittling down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually.
So that's just something I like to try and do. And I think it works out really well because it feels really stupid when the teams you play the most and the players you play the most, but you don't have them any of them together. That would be a leak in a tournament game. So for example, another thing. So like if you're playing Robbie Ray, but you also like these, like I like 4 different bats from Cooper, Aguilar, Alfaro, and Duvall are my preferred guys on Miami. And again, I want to attack the stadium. So where I have Robbie Ray as a pitcher, if I'm whittling down, I'll take Robbie Ray out as my pitcher and then put in 2 or 3 of those Miami guys. So then I have that mix. I've got some with Robbie Ray with that mix of the Colorado stack, let's say. But then my additional guys, when I whittle it down, are going to be Miami guys with a different pitcher. So that way I get different exposures to. So the lineup that's going off with Robbie Ray, if Robbie Ray gets hit, I'm going to have that as a backup. Does that make sense? I don't know how to say it exactly right. I'm not explaining it perfectly, but basically to try and make sure that you're getting different exposures with different exposures to your different pitchers. If you're using a lot of different pitchers with the same lineups, you don't want to have them all with the same one.
You know, Adam, and I want to deal with Timothy's question in a second. I do. You motivated me a little bit, Adam. I'm going to do a full. I'm going to do a full thing on this. I think one of these days, just explore, like, you know, how to allocate money and how to allocate exposures and things like. Maybe Bobby and I will do.
I'll do a video with you on it, because the funny thing is I don't always do the right thing.
Yeah,
but I also know my tournament strengths and weaknesses, and I play a much more high variance style in almost everything I do.
Right.
So I actually, in a funny way, you could argue that I'm actually better off leaving him in the longer shot tournament sometimes more than the other stuff. But in general, I'll try to coordinate it with the buy-in. So where I'm going to have the 200 single entry thing, I'm going to try and make that lineup a little bit chalkier than my other ones. If it's the chalk I like. If I don't like the chalk, I'm just going to say F it entirely. And
all right, first of all, Jason, you know, really, this is I've lost all my patience for this. I mean, if he's on YouTube, just somebody, I'll
get rid of him.
We'll just bounce him. I just don't have the patience, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's not just that. I mean, nobody else here has the patience for it. It's just taking time away from people learning anything. So to answer Timothy's question, I don't think today. I don't think the slate's small enough to play like one-offs in same lineups with, like, against Robbie Ray. You know what I mean? You could certainly see how he can get there and give up a home run. I just feel as though that you know, maybe Bobby, you're a little different than me. It takes me to like get to like a 3-game slate, maybe 4, for me to play pitchers against hitters from the same team.
Agreed.
Game. So I think that's what Timothy was asking. Is that would you play a one-off from against Robbie Ray in the same lineup with Robbie Ray? And I think the slate's just too big. You're just going to need just a little more perfection out of your lineups than that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with all of that.
Okay. Okay, so just where I'm at with respect to the NBA, I'm all set with my DraftKings lineup for the NBA, and I need to work on my FanDuel so we could BS a little bit. Oh, and the NBA is not till 7:30. Oh, nice. But
we got plenty of time.
I am leaving in 20 minutes.
Yeah. So okay, the rest of us will have time then.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll get to the NBA in a minute. I still got to make some of these adjustments from some of these lineup things. So I'll be there in a bit.
Yeah. So one of the things, again, that I'm kind of toying with, these are kind of like the views right now of my sheets on the website, and it's so funny. I have so much respect for these sites that, well, I have a lot of respect for sites that don't have professional developers doing it, which we don't. You know what I mean? So I'm just figuring out the color coding and figuring out the best way to display this and how to filter and things like that. But these are like what the baseball projections are going to look like. Well, they look like this now, but there's going to be videos about how to go through them. And Bobby puts out his top plays of the day in one area. And then, as I said, you know, the king is freaking Pierce with his NASCAR content. God knows what else he's going to be doing. Hey, I see. What's his name? Speaking of which, my freaking hero, Brandon Cruz, is in here. Yeah, you can block Julius Peppers too.
I just did.
So Brandon Cruz, again, he got me started. Well, if it weren't for Brandon Cruz, I wouldn't have ever looked at Pierce either. And Brandon if Brandon is also just a tremendous NASCAR talent with respect to analysis. As a matter of fact, I played my first ever bigger buy-in tournament in NASCAR this past weekend. I won a seat, and I played it in the 600. And I needed one little pivot that I needed to make a low owned play to make it worth it. But you know what it is? Like we talked about this before, when you're playing a big buy-in, one of the problems people have when they play big buy-in is they get a little scared when like they play the biggest one for the first time. They end up like being way too chalky, like do the safest thing, you know what I mean? Just because it's too big for them. It's like the person that's in a 10K poker tournament for the first time, right? They have the balls to make that big bluff. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And so Brandon in his NASCAR content was talking about this one guy, Austin Hill, who was one of his best plays, and I was looking at my ownership projection. I saw him at only 10%. I'm like, that's good enough for me. So I put him in there, and he basically held the rest of the lineup together for me, and I cashed in that big buy. And so a little shout out to Brandon Cruz. You guys want even more NASCAR content? You can search his stuff out too. Maybe we'll drag him along this content as well. We're getting handed a very important document.
Very important document. What is that?
A very important document. This is one of my village tax bills. Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, we don't want them. We do with that. We usually rip these away. Okay, so speaking of which, K9 Bronco, I actually came up with in my DraftKings 13% Marc Gasol, which is 13% more than I played in the entire season.
Yeah, it's very different, especially in a must-win with how they went in the last game. The problem is they lost the last game. That's the only thing that worries me for that. But I certainly am on board with that as well. I am fine with Marc Gasol on FanDuel. I don't love it. It's a weird position, but if you don't want to play the big guys, you're going to have to feel a little bit uncomfortable.
So what I have to do is I have to redo my main have fun with this, my main lineup on FanDuel, because I originally liked was going to pay all the way down to Caruso, but I don't think anymore. So that I'm going to redo this, hopefully on the fly here, and see if we can't come up with this. Yeah, I don't like Caruso, I guess, as much as I did at the beginning, but I'm liking a little Kuzma over here. But let me
yeah, it's hard not to want to spend down at that second small forward spot.
I'm going to edit these lineups here, and I'll tell you who else is going to be very difficult to not play is Chris Paul. I mean, I'm just kind of into this.
Who that shoots?
Chris Paul.
Yeah, I'm into that as well. For what it's worth.
And I also changed my mind. I think that if you play Booker, I think you can play Booker and Paul together if that is something you want to do.
And FanDuel for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Who do you like a point guard besides Chris Paul?
I'll get over there in a second. I'm still editing my baseball, so just give me one more minute here. I want to finish up real quick before I move on. And we're almost there.
As the kids say on FanDuel, who do you like for 4,800 on FanDuel, and why is he Monte Morris?
There you go. 1 second here. I just got to get these edited. All right, we're in business, I think. Let me see, make sure I have my Bellinger ones. The problem is I have McKinstry too, so I'm just trying to it does force you to kind of rebuild a few things with a minimum cost guy.
So I gotta change my.
By the way, if you're hesitant to play, if you don't want to play too much of the Nelson Cruz, throw in get some of the Whit Merrifield. I said second base is strong.
Merrifield is basically free on FanDuel.
Yeah, but play him everywhere. I think.
Yeah.
He's also the only Royals bat that costs anything other than Salvador Perez on DraftKings. And
Salvador Perez hits a home run every game, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, I know. The catching options today is more of a spend-up day on catcher. It's the guys who are cheaper, like Maldonado, Alfaro. Alfaro's my favorite. Maldonado just in the stacks of Minnesota of Houston, and Eric Haas would be my other guy. Okay, so do we have all of our baseball guys cleared up? Not yet, almost. No Bellinger. Turn him into Chris Taylor.
Let's see, we have our Booker. Man, still Caruso. The boys still want me to play Caruso for some reason.
Caruso.
I don't know.
It's not. I mean, it's not bad no matter what.
Yeah.
From my point of view. All right. I can do this. Any other
I
questions?
definitely, one thing I wouldn't do, I wouldn't play Campaign and Chris Paul together.
These guys are getting their things here. Yeah, guys, thanks for defending us. These guys are it's literal just trolls for other people. I've heard it on other sites, them encouraging people to. It's really pretty despicable. And if there's any personal feedback that's critical, I'm absolutely more than happy to talk about any details of things we can improve. We're totally putting it together still. It's not done. That's why we're not charging for our side of it. The only part that is done is Pierce, because he's got his system already down and he's got his user base. So anyway, what was K9's question before? Oh, where did I figure out the Peyton Pritchard rotation? I think it's really gonna depend on game flow and how they play, is from what everything I can tell. So I have right now both of them. I even have them in some lineups together. And one weird thing I'm doing in some lineups is playing Aaron Nesmith as a potential weird play. Thinking that Smart will bring the ball up, Tatum will run the half-court offense. Nesmith could hopefully get hot for you, and is a minimum cost way of getting different. So that's one thing I'm doing. Which I originally said was just for crazy large field GPPs. Well, I want to win a GPP, so I'm going to try and take a shot on what I consider to be a pretty volatile situation.
You want to win a GPP? Okay.
I'd like to tonight. Hey man, I've got wins in back-to-back weeks now, and the big first place ones with one entry each time. So
I like that.
Hopefully we can get another one this week. And then seconds a lot, and thirds a lot in there. So we're doing well lately. At least I've been having a good run at baseball.
Yeah.
After a really rocky start to the month. All right. There's no more questions. So on DraftKings, sorry, do you mind if we talk about DraftKings for NBA?
Yeah.
So on DraftKings, I am finding, it says I got rid of all the guys and then I see him in my lineup. So it keeps distracting me. It is really hard to spend down. I actually am thinking Tatum in a couple lineups, and I didn't think that was going to happen. I'm also playing Michael Porter Jr. and Norman Powell quite a bit. My get different stuff is I threw Cam Johnson in again. I hope he gets hot. It's not the right kind of game. I'd rather play Crowder because you think it's a tough game. They're going to want to go with their best. But if Cam Johnson gets hot and makes 4 threes in the first half, that's totally on the table. So I'll take a shot with a cheap Cam Johnson along with the Langford, Gasol, and Pritchard value. And I would say the potential value. The only guy who I'm not fading tonight is LeBron in any lineup. I'm just not going to happen. Watch, we'll get the Anthony Davis is going to be starting tonight news later, but that's fine. I still will take my LeBron. The problem is if that's happening. I still love LeBron as a play, but it's hard to. It would make Tatum seem like the better play there between the two of them. I also really like. Who else did I have on my list? I think Norman Powell's a really good play on DraftKings. I'm finding that you said you like. I don't like the center spot, so I like Gasol. I'm using Covington in my other center spots. I love Chris Paul. And I like the Chris Paul LeBron combo. I have that everywhere pretty much, except for one lineup, one big lineup that is. Anything else from basketball, guys? Any other questions, guys? Drop in the basketball stuff whenever you want. I have to.
I'm just finishing up my FanDuel lineups over here.
I swear, it's like somehow there's a computer's adding Cody Bellinger to my lineups because I keep saying that I have none of them, and then I look down and sure enough, he's in one lineup. It's a glitch in the system they've got to fix. It's really, really annoying. All right, so Muncie. One guy who I planned to play more today than I ended up playing is Freddie Freeman. It just didn't end up getting to afford him enough, and I sort of ended up siding a little bit with Pete Alonso over Freeman. But I do like those guys both. Let's see if I have any more McKinstry in here. Any more Bellinger? Doesn't look like it. Looks like we are ready to go. All right. I am using some Chris Bassett on FanDuel. I didn't mention that either. Guy's just been a quality start machine. It's hard not to like him a little bit against Seattle.
He certainly has.
I'm ready for the bad game after the good ones, but I don't know. I still having a hard time just not doing it.
I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna go down with the Mikal Bridges ship on FanDuel. I think.
With Bridges?
Yeah, I mean he's gonna be on the court. I mean that's gotta be good enough for me. I don't know.
Good enough for me. Yep.
But I kind of want to. How cheap is Kuzma though?
Kuzma's probably the better play, to be honest.
Yeah.
But you can play whoever you want. All right. Any other questions for basketball or baseball, guys? Feel free to drop them in. Thanks, good K9 Bronco. I always appreciate you guys being in here. Again, before you do leave, if you don't mind giving us a thumbs up, we always appreciate it. The general hate, guys. Thank you for defending it, and just let's not tolerate any of that stuff. Anyway, I think we're pretty.
Oh wow! Okay, good. He finally got a spot in the lineup. Willie Dames is hitting second finally.
Yeah, I saw that he was gonna pop up, but
wow. Right.
Again, I'm still leaning towards Gavin Lux being the best shortstop play. That 4K. Just
good for him. All right, let's take a look at some of these.
Yeah, I'm actually playing Neesmith on FanDuel in one of my lineups just to give everything away, and Caruso in the same one because I couldn't get to what I wanted without doing so.
Right.
And attacking the Laker game, basically.
Yeah.
With Tatum.
Let me go over my my ownerships on DraftKings then. I got some weird ones, I think. My highest owned player on DraftKings is, well, he went to Wake Forest, if that helps you. My second highest owned player.
We're talking about Chris Paul, guys, just so you know.
Yeah. My second highest owned player, I don't even know where he went to college. But you don't want to Google him. That's the thing.
Oh, there you go. Don't Google. That should be
enough.
Hopefully you guys know that one.
I hope you don't, actually.
You know that when he went to the Celtics, that's what he said. He said he actually tweeted out. He said, "Celtics fans who don't know me, my name is Evan Fournier. Please don't Google me."
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
I do for now have 60% Peyton Pritchard. I got a good amount of again I got a good amount of him. Dennis Schroeder, that's going to be different. Nurkic, Tatum. God, you know whose name I have not mentioned? Oh, I do have some. I do have 30% Jokic. Oh, dude, you know what I don't have any of? I don't have any of the guy that's going to win.
Who's that?
It's going to be you, Bobby.
Who is it?
It's going to be you. It's going to be guy that grew up in Akron, I think.
Oh, yeah. I can't avoid him.
Yeah.
It's a must win. It's just like I said, there's spots where you just have to. I mean, just even if whatever he was going to be owned tonight, I just didn't.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter to me one bit.
Why would I want to play LeBron when I could play freaking 40% Robert Covington? Slightly different play, I suppose. That's DraftKings. Oh, you know, I lied. I do have some LeBron, and you know what? I'm glad I mentioned it because when that LeBron lineup wins, I don't want to hear it from everybody. You said you didn't have any LeBron, so it's a good lineup. This one's not bad. I have 35% Jay Crowder on DraftKings.
Yeah, I'm over Crowder on FanDuel and a little bit on DraftKings.
Okay. You have any I guess the guy I'm like, why do I have him is Carmelo. Just got him a couple.
I don't mind it at all. I really don't.
The guy that I don't have any of, or as much, I only have 10% Dame Lillard on DraftKings. He's going to break the slate too.
I I'm having trouble. Yeah, I have. Well, no, I have him in half my lineups on DraftKings. I don't have him on FanDuel.
Okay.
I'm laying down at point guard on FanDuel just to kind of give away what I'm doing.
Oh yeah. So by the way, the 2x2 that I kind of worked out here is Caruso. Ready for this on FanDuel? You guys can think about this. Who would you rather have? Caruso and who is that small? Caruso and Michael Bridges, or for exact same price, Monty Morris and Kyle Kuzma. And
Morris and Kuzma.
Morris and Kuzma turned out to be the answer.
That's the answer for me.
Yeah.
Here's a straight up one for you. Who do you want, Nurkic or DeAndre Ayton on FanDuel?
If you play Lillard, I would play Nurkic and Lillard together. But if you're playing Paul, I would play Paul and Ayton together too. It's a good question. That's tough.
Yeah,
I always, I was about to say I usually like Nurkic more than Ayton, but Ayton he's been really thriving in this matchup.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's been terrific, and it should get a little more difficult for him, but especially if Chris Paul is more ball dominant tonight because they're in a must-win spot and all that stuff. But I still think he's a really strong player. He's going to play 500 minutes.
500 minutes, he might have a chance to get there.
He could get there potentially.
Yeah.
And Covington, there's a lot of 1v1 like Covington versus, I mean, you mentioned it already sort of a little bit, but Covington versus Crowder, I think you're kind of supposed to play Covington, to be honest. They're very close. I don't know. I have more Crowder at the moment, but I really think that they're close.
Yeah.
Almost ready?
Yeah. All right, guys. If there are no other questions, I will bid you farewell.
All right. Sounds
Adam
good.
will give me the go-ahead. The Morris and Kuzma for sure, and I'm in. Good luck, LFG, and